Hello and welcome to the Grimy Outdoors podcast. My name is Kyle.
I'm AJ.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Ryan.
So Ryan did that because AJ's working the cameras now because we're doing like this live editing stuff. So AJ's got to be the one to switch the camera angles. So Ryan's being a little brat by saying things really quick because it's hard for him to switch that fast.
He just cut himself out of the intro. That's his own fault now.
He's also trying to be like part of this podcast, so he's got to think too. And we're going to be doing a lot of talking with AJ because he just got back from Africa with us.
That's right.
We were there 22 days. And it was funny. I was fishing with my dad on Sunday. He goes, "Hey, Kyle, tell me some stories." And I was like, I don't even know where to begin. It's because the 22 days, every day was like the most significant day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we did something crazy or had a huge experience or it was like overcame challenges, whatever it might be. And it's like, it would be like going on your best 22 days of hunting ever. And then someone coming home and saying, "Tell us all about it." Because like, I could probably break down each day for like an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because so much happened. So it's a little bit difficult to do that. So over the next like 6 to 8 weeks, we're just going to have like one piece of each podcast be a portion of that trip where we can kind of deep dive into that one section of like what happened. And we're going to be doing that a little bit later on today. But before we dive into that, I actually have something more current. I was gone for 22 days and everything went to crap. The streets are burning. Everything's happening here in the United States right now. But one piece of possible legislation that's really got me worried is possibly making it into the big, beautiful bill is the sale of about 2.3 million acres of public land.
Wow. That one's pretty rough.
And it's being presented by the GOP. If you watch our podcast, it's probably easy to figure out what side we lean as far as politics go. But in this rare case, we actually disagree with some of the people that are typically people we agree with.
Which I don't think there's anything wrong with disagreeing.
No,
with
and
ideas.
I also think that conservation and public lands and the future of our planet and stuff, to me, should always be kind of a bipartisan topic. I don't think that it should matter whether you're on the right or left. I think it should be pretty universal that we should all kind of be on the same side. I tend to be a small government conservative, like the way that I think. I see the government getting involved in things and I see it not going well often. It's not that I'm not compassionate. It's just that I see it mismanaged a lot of times. So when I look at something like this and the idea of selling off 2.3 million acres of our public lands, which works out to be like 1% of our public lands or something like that, in order to help with the debt that we have and also help account for the tax cuts and that sort of thing. And like I said, there's a few GOP people that have presented this. I stopped and took all right, let's think this through. What is really happening? So they're selling public lands that people are able to use for recreation, hunting, fishing, things like that.
Yep.
And I think what's happening is there's a bit of a disconnect with people probably in Washington than like people that live our lifestyle where they're like, it's only 1% of it. How much of that are they really using? And this will help us. Here's my take on it though. And if I was to get to speak to President Trump directly, I would say, number one, talk to your son. But number two, I would say we are about to sell off something that is owned by the people, that is used by the people. But there's a reason there's more white-tailed deer in North America than ever in recorded history right now. Even before Christopher Columbus came, like we have more white-tailed deer right now. We have great populations of species. We've brought back the wild turkey from basic extinction. We've got so many Canada geese right now, we don't know what to do with them. The ecosystems are thriving. We have brought back these species because hunters buy their hunting license and fishing license, or they buy their outdoor equipment, and there's a self-excise tax in there that helps fund all of the species sustainability efforts, conservation efforts. It's what help funds the public lands and that sort of thing. And if we are to sell them off permanently, and like once you do it, you can't get it back. Like once it's gone forever, period, end of story.
100%.
So if we sell those for a temporary problem, don't get me wrong, I am someone who wants to see major tax cuts, but I am someone who wants to see our spending as a country diminish to like nothing. I don't like us not having a balanced budget. I think the fact that we, like half of our budget for the entire country, and people are like, what does the debt matter? They print money. It does matter, and I'll tell you why, is because 50% of our spending goes to just paying interest on the loans we have out. Okay, so more than we spend on anything else, we spend on interest for that. So we don't want that to go up. Balancing the budget's important. The thing is, I think that selling off public land should be the absolute worst case scenario of all worst case scenarios, especially with all the money that we know there is waste. We've learned a lot about that recently, but it's like you're going to send so much money to Ukraine and then sell off our public lands.
Yeah.
And that hurts us. And like right now, another thing that makes me nervous is China owns a lot of our lands. They own a lot of our farmlands. I don't like that. I think that we need to take a step back, and I would say, President Trump, you are not going to be president forever. So if you sell these public lands to try and help the budget right now, and then we get somebody else in office who goes back to spending like crazy, and then what happens? Like that land was sold to help balance a budget that ended up going to the wayside anyways, and now that public land is gone. That's my fear.
One of my fears that comes along with that, too, is now you're opening that floodgate. It's like, oh, we can sell this land. Then we sell a little bit in Iowa. We sell a little bit in Montana. And then before we know it, we've got half the public land we once had. And people are, I don't know how much I necessarily agree with it, but people already say that their public land that they hunt is pretty crowded.
One of the things that we deal with, it's not even about, like, to me, it is about the sportsmen and women using it, yes. But it's about the fact that we have species. It's the fact that we have beautiful ecosystems. It's the fact that we have national parks. It's the fact that nature is still nature in parts of our beautiful country. And we'd be giving that up. I mean, when we talk about it, you know, we used to do a segment called Conservation Corner on our show. And when we would do it, what would happen every time? You'd give the conservation message, and then you'd say the biggest thing facing this species is infringement on their ecosystem, that the lands, people moving in, you know, developing lands, everything like that. That's the number one thing that is threatening all the species that we're always covering. And this is exactly what you would be doing. Yeah. I mean, you'd be moving those people in. One of the reasons that they state to do it too, besides the budget, is to help with housing. There's other ways to help with housing than developing our public lands, period.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not tough on what side we're on, but it's like tough that we have to make that call for the side that we kind of stand with.
The thing that's unfortunate about that is most people, when they talk about populations and like, oh, you know, hunters are killing these animals, so clearly that's why the animal population goes down. But a much larger factor is human development. And once you develop that, even if you sell it off, when you sell it off, people are going to develop it because they're buying it to make money with it.
Right.
So that now takes away from habitat, which is one of the main uses of, you know, federal land, is that animals have a place to have habitat. And you take that away, like you said, now it's gone. So it's not only bad for hunters, but it's also bad for all of the species. And I think a lot of people don't even think about that, what allows them to thrive.
Mm-hmm. And you have to look at it. One of the pushbacks, because like I said, I'm typically a pretty small government conservative, but a lot of them would disagree with me on this because they would be like, why does the government own lands? But what they're missing is it isn't the government that owns the lands. It's the people that owns it's our lands. Like that's our recreation. That's our, you know, it's like where we pick raspberries. It's where up north where we cut wood. It's where we go on the trails. It's like there's so much to do on the public lands, but you're also talking about the fact that you'd be wiping out species like crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm major against it. I really hope it doesn't pass. Obviously, there's 53 Republicans right now, but it's far from having all of them on board. And I think that if they try and push this through in the big, beautiful bill, it will not pass. So I think they might get rid of it because of that, because people are freaking out standing up against it.
Yeah, which is great.
What's interesting too is it's like, I think it's, don't quote me, but it's either 11 or 13, that number stands out, of the different states, western states mostly, that they be taking this from. And it's like all the people that vote there are going to be really, really angry with their senators if they go against them. So I think you're going to see a lot of pressure from those states.
Well,
but I hope you call your senators, call your folks, call your people, complain about it. I mean, we did this with the Goose gas chambers. Yeah. You know, we had the DNR on the podcast. We went on the news. We did all those things, and we got all the calls in, and it stopped it. So for this one, our public lands are not for sale. They should never be for sale. You don't make a permanent solution for a temporary problem. This is ridiculous. That's the last thing we should possibly sell. And think about who might buy it.
Yeah, right.
That's the scariest.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I cannot wait for the comments of like, "What, told you so? Told you so." That's not what we're doing. we like who we like.
Yeah.
Right. But it's okay to admit, like, I'm not running with this idea. That's just funny to me. I feel like sometimes people get really hung up on, like, they'll stand by who they voted for in every scenario, no matter what. Everything they say or do is holy ground.
Right.
And no one that on either side or any side should look at any problem like that. You just use your head and understand the problem before you start freaking out.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if I still agree with somebody 90% of the time and I agree with the other person 10% of the time, I'm still going to go with the 90.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even so, if we're in that 10%, and I don't actually know how Trump feels about selling the public lands. I know that his son's probably very against it. So
Right.
I just, it still has to get to him. You know what I mean? And the other thing is the presidents don't make these bills. Not allowed to. So, there's also that point in there. This is someone in the GOP who proposed this. I think 3 senators got together and proposed it. So if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass.
If there was ever a bill that I thought Trump did right, it would be one called the Big Beautiful Bill.
So, yeah, I think, like I said, I'm very fiscally conservative. I'm a small government conservative. Like, that's how I think. I think the government should be so small you can barely see it. But I think our military should be a top priority. I think our border should be a top priority. The budget shouldn't even be an issue because the government shouldn't be handling all that stuff. And I think that our, as far as our ecosystem or our public lands or, conservation in general, I think that should also be something that's highly regarded by the federal government.
Yeah.
But other than that, stay out of my business. But yeah, so we are making friends on no side in this. But either way, I just don't think we should sell our public lands. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I'm hoping that there's a lot of pushback for it. Like I said, with the Goose gas chambers, we stopped that. So hopefully we can stop this too. On to less significant, but slightly more significant in my life topics is we just got a new boat. So we just got the Tracker Prairie Wing 1650 tiller boat. It's a special edition. Bass Pro bought out Max Prairie Wings, for those of you who don't know. And when they did, they started this new boat that is the Prairie Wings edition, and it's meant for like flooded timber. It's one of those boats that like draft super shallow. Ours came with a 60 horse motor on it, which we may or may not switch out for a mud motor, just depending.
Yeah.
I'm still conflicted on
Still
like
playing
what
the cards.
Yeah,
out on that one.
what to do with it. But the boat itself, the ruggedness of it is so awesome. But what I really like about it is the high sides. It's so deep in it, yet it drafts so little water that it is just for I'm going to use it for Saginaw Bay, and it floats so well. And what's great about Saginaw Bay, I guess what's bad about Saginaw Bay, but great about this boat is like I used to have to with our old boat because there's a 150 horse motor on it. I'd have to go out 4.5 miles before I could get to 4 foot of water, then turn, go down the shoreline, maybe, I don't know, 800 yards, and then turn in toward shore, get up as much speed as I possibly can, and then coasted to a skidded stop on the mud. Because it's so shallow in there.
Yeah.
But now having a boat that can go in a couple inches of water and be completely fine, I'm going to be in like really great shape this year for duck hunting.
That's
and it's
pretty
got me
cool.
super pumped up.
My favorite feature on this boat is because this replaces the rickety old John boat we had.
Yeah.
And even in waders, when you're getting in and out of that boat, because you do inevitably when you're duck hunting, is you got to swing your leg and you got to swing the other leg, and then you're on a boat that's on water and you're trying to ease yourself down into mud.
Because it used to be like,
In order to be stable.
I'd have to go to the other side of the boat to hold the weight for him.
No, you lean so I can get out this side. This boat has these little carved out steps on the back that you can just climb in, and it's amazing. It's the best feature that I've seen on the boat. I'm like,
the equivalent
that
would
right
be
there
like
is smart.
the boat version of like the steps they like the Ram has like that drop down step.
Yeah.
Or like some of the other trucks have it like put into the bumper. It's kind of like that for a boat.
So the people that run these boats are right now screaming at their radio. It's called pods. they're called pods, and they actually help with floating too.
Oh yeah.
They actually help the boat
They're
float.
filled like with foam and stuff.
Yep, but it's absolutely awesome.
Mhm.
I'm super impressed with it, and I just can't wait to run it this year.
Maybe we can make a vlog out of whether or not we switch out the motor.
Yeah, Yeah, we could do
That'd be
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, and give the reasons why. So
Yeah.
our buddy Colton, who is in a lot of our vlogs you've seen before, he's buying a backwater 40 longtail mud motor,
Mm-hmm.
and he swears by them. So he said he would come over and put that on our boat and let us test it.
Can you imagine? We hook it all up. We go out and like we didn't hook it up right, so it's just back into the water. It's brand new.
We're very sorry, Colton. Well, time to be heading on back. But yeah,
I have to paddle.
so we're gonna test that out, see how it works, and go from there. So the next story that I want to cover was actually the first day that we were in Africa. So the first thing we did when we got there, number one, the flight there was something else. I mean, it was a lot of driving to the airport, obviously, then getting everything. Jeff forgets.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and tell him what
His
you forgot,
medical
you
device.
animal.
I packed everything, felt really good about the trip because we had laundry service while we were there in some of the places. So I didn't have to pack super heavy, and I got all my stuff ready, was super pumped.
To be clear, we had laundry services everywhere. They just kind of gave up on him. No, I'm just kidding.
But this is one of the nicest trips where I didn't feel like I forgot anything. I felt, super pumped about it. And then we get to the airport and we're already up at the front of the line, and AJ turns around and goes, "Hey, what, you're going without the machine?" And for those that don't know, I sleep with a CPAP for sleep apnea because I snore and stop breathing in my sleep.
He screams, actually.
And
It's pretty rough.
and yeah, it was in my car. I had left it when we parked. So there was no opportunity for me to, you would have had to drive back to the office,
Yep.
get it, bring it back up. And there's no way we're even getting there super early. There was no way we were getting there.
No.
So-
Because I was gone for I had dropped you guys off and then was gone for half an hour ish. And then
Yeah.
you call and you're like, "Hey," I'm like, "Dude, I'm
Mm-mm.
5 miles from the airport. I still have a lot of drive left."
Yeah, you got hit with traffic pretty
Yeah.
hard dropping us
So,
off.
so I just relearned how to sleep while we were
I
there.
just didn't.
No, you
breathe.
didn't.
I didn't breathe
Um,
while I slept.
No, I would say overall, I don't know if it's training because of using the machine or what, but I didn't snore nearly as much as I used to before I got the machine. So I think there's been some kind of improvement there, but by the end of the trip, I could tell that I wasn't sleeping, and it was.
Did you hear him snoring?
Well, I got to dodge him in rooms quite often.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then when we did have to stay together, I was pretty mean. I was like, "You are."
When we were splitting a room, we were already more than halfway through the trip, so I was already slowly
I remember.
And he starts getting
diverting.
it also really annoys me because it's snoring, but he's also like,
Oh yeah, and I get super
What?
groggy because you think you're not getting
can't stand it.
You're not actually sleeping.
you're not getting oxygen. You're not, But you can tell when I'm getting ready to fall asleep because I start breathing a little different.
Yep. Yep.
He's like, hey, let me get to
Shut
sleep
up.
first,
The one night we were there because I knew we had to wake up early because we were going fishing for tigerfish, and he was starting to do the breathing thing, and then I was starting to anticipate when it was coming, and then he started to get into his rhythm, and then I kind of freaked out on him. I was like, "We got to wake up in 5 hours. Knock it off."
Dude, I remember one time in Florida, you started up, and it was
Oh yeah,
it was crazy, dude. It was like a train was running through the living room.
The severity of how loud it is. It's like, how does that not wake you up? I mean, it is.
I get used to it, I guess.
It's like.
What's funny is other than me making noise, I'm a pretty light sleeper and wake up pretty easy if my dog moves in the middle of the night or whatever. But somehow me snoring doesn't impact me in the slightest.
What
You.
What gets me too is when we got to share a room, he'll be like, "All right, well, maybe we can lay down. I might run and go grab some."
Falls asleep in
It's
2
like-
seconds.
You didn't give me a chance. You can't do that. And then you wake him up and he'll be like,
Oh,
and then he's in the zone.
another-
And then there's no talking English anymore.
Another fun bit about the room when we had to share a room. So we get
This
to
I didn't mind.
we get to this place. We're in Pongola Nature Preserve. It's a very large protected area where people have to sign in. There's a thing where you have to dip your boots when you come in
Yeah.
because they are worried about
They spray your tires too. Seeds.
hand and mouth.
Yeah, that's what they said. But
hand
I
and
think
foot.
it's seeds.
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard. When I've had to do it, not in Africa, but in certain like preserves.
Yeah.
Here in the States even.
Yeah.
It's like that.
They're worried about people outside spreading stuff to the inside. So anyways, we get there and they're like, yeah, we each have our own. It was kind of like a
I'd say cabin.
what do you call those? Like a bungalow?
Yeah, they
maybe? Yeah.
They
And
had like the straw roof.
we get there. There's 2 beds per, so whatever, that's fine. We open the door, we go in, and the first thing we notice is, well, there's the bathroom. I'm looking right into the bathroom. There's no door.
Dude,
Huh.
you're like looking at the shower. Then if that's not bad enough, so you've got the 2 beds here and you've got the bathroom here, but then there's a mirror here. So if you happen to find your way not to be staring at the person going to the bathroom or in the shower that is just glass. No, there's not even glass. There's glass
Oh,
on
it's
one
open on
side,
one
but it's an open shower too. So it's an open shower with no door. So if you're looking in the bathroom, you're seeing you butt naked. But even if you find your way to not do that and you're laying in bed and you happen to look at the mirror, it's angled perfectly to see into the shower. I'm like, what is this, a honeymoon suite?
I tested. There's no single place where you can stand or crouch or lay down in that room where you can't glance around and you'll see your buddy nude in the mirror.
Yeah, that didn't stop
mirror
him from taking a
was
million
big-
photos.
Was big enough and perfectly positioned, even from the balcony outside. If you look inside, you're seeing in that bathroom. They want you to see.
He goes, missed a spot. It's like,
So I took, they gave us extra bedding,
Yeah.
and I took the extra
Made a
like
curtain.
comforter and threw it over. Thank goodness it was one of those where it's also open above.
Yeah.
So you also can't go to the bathroom in privacy or like, oh no, I had to poop. So it's now the room. The whole room is it. And there's no
yeah, also the
separation.
bathroom,
There's
the
no
bathroom
ceiling.
wall doesn't go to the ceiling. So that's open.
So the one
The
good,
flavor of the bathroom gets
yeah.
released
So
around
the
room.
one good thing about that was I was able to take the blanket and drape it over where the door should be to make.
But even
You
that
guys would start
curtain, at
pooping
least.
with a comforter like over your head.
It
to,
was-
like lock it in.
It wasn't thick enough though, so there's still
There's this on each side, and in draping it over so it wouldn't then fall.
you can still see like
you could see your buddy's mid thigh.
yeah, like it wasn't the suite. I think it was called the honeymoon suite. And your room wasn't like that.
Nope.
Your room, but the funny thing, all the rooms look different inside.
They were all different. Yep.
Yeah.
It looked as though their room was finished and our room was still a work in progress. Didn't have all the molding,
But they
didn't have any art,
but
didn't
they
have
stopped-
a bathroom door.
but they stopped 17 years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gave up.
Yeah, the only thing that was weird about AJ and Andy's was the mirrors on the ceiling. And you guys said you liked it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, You requested it.
Yeah. So that was that. But anyhow, Jeffer gets a CPAP machine.
Mirrors on the ceiling.
I got pretty aggressive. Mirrors on the ceiling. But then going back, which is a big turn of events here, but we get on the plane. The flight was 2 hours to Atlanta. We had a layover of 2.5 hours, which we went to, what was that, Chinese place?
PF Chang's.
PF Chang's for dinner,
Mhm.
and then got on the plane. And it was a Delta flight. It was like 17 hours-ish,
Mhm.
direct to Johannesburg. On the flight, they gave us the worst food I've ever had on an airplane.
Yeah.
I mean it, too. It was actually bad. And they starved us again. They do this thing where as soon as you get on the 17-hour flight, they feed you dinner. And it's like, okay, we did just eat PF Chang's, but I better eat because I know better now because of Hawaii.
Yeah.
So you eat, and then they're like,
That's
see
it.
you right before we land. So it's like you get really hungry. And I read on the menu they're supposed to give you like turkey sandwiches and stuff like as a middle meal, but they didn't on the way there. And I asked people around in case I like fell asleep or something, and it's like, no, they didn't give us that.
They left us for 14 hours.
On the way home we got it, but on the way there we didn't. So I was eating Wilderness Athlete bars and like little protein things and stuff.
On the way back, because we had such a bad experience, we're getting up, like stretching, whatever. You go stand by where the bathrooms are, and there's the little cubby where they've got all the stuff, and they just had like whatever they were prepping for the next time they were going to come around, and we're like, here's a turkey sandwich, here's some snacks.
Yeah, I trusted no one.
No.
You're allowed to. I mean, I paid $2,400 for
Yeah.
a plane
Yeah,
ticket.
yeah.
I can eat a turkey Sammy, but they weren't very good, by the way. But you were like eating out of fear.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was. But anyhow, so I ended up sitting next to two really great guys on the flight there, and one guy, the one right next to me in the middle seat, his wife was behind him. He like doesn't really watch TV except for he's gonna watch our show now. And I've got a video here. I'll play for you. I got very lucky on this flight to Africa with David and Alan as my co-partners. Way better to hang out with them than it is my team. No, I'm just kidding. But I gotta tell you something. This guy right here, there's a challenge going on social media right now called raw dogging, where you don't sleep, you don't use headphones, he doesn't even drink water. He did it. He did it without knowing it was a challenge. I woke up every hour and he was stone-faced forward. I asked him if he wanted me to help him with the TV. He said no. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. I will say you never had to pee, though. Was that part of the reason for never?
No, I didn't pee one time.
Oh, you did? Oh, I must have slept through that. But yeah, tough guy, but
15 hours.
I actually met the coolest people on this flight, so I feel pretty grateful. It made it a good flight, so thanks, guys.
He's good guy.
So he literally didn't sleep at all, and I checked a lot, and he was always awake.
He's like this at the guy.
Yeah, that's how I slept. Yeah, no, I literally every time I woke up, he was awake, and he kept track of things for us. Like if they were bringing us food, he'd tap me if they want to make sure I had water. Nicest guy ever. I had Advil for him because he said his neck was hurting. Bro didn't even drink water with the Advil; he just swallowed it. Tough guy. Yep. Didn't eat, didn't drink. He did eat once they brought like with the final meal, I think. But nicest human being on the planet. And you know me, I'm like, anything I can do to try and make him more comfortable, I'll do. But yeah, it's just nicest guy ever. And then the guy on the other side of him, he was on like a work vacation thing where he had been there like either 5 or 10 years, so he was able to go travel like and work paid for it and stuff. Him and his wife are going to Africa, Thailand, a few different places. They were really nice too. I had such a fun time with those two guys on the flight there that literally we actually got yelled at by the stewardess that we had to be quiet because we were talking so much.
That.
So we talked.
I believe that.
I think we probably talked 12 hours of the flight. I never even turned on the TV thing because
They
it was
said something to you?
the stewardess did. Yeah,
What was the bit?
she just came up and was like, "I have to ask you to quit talking so much." She said that.
Yeah.
That means someone complained.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, sorry. And by the way, there's not a person on this flight that can hear me, like other than the one person that complained. No,
What?
no, I'm saying like it's so loud on those flights. Number two, everyone's got headphones in. It's like everyone's doing their own thing.
I might have to rebuttal that one.
I was.
Yeah, you just sit there without headphones ever.
I was.
Give me 10 seconds. You've been on a flight without headphones in.
You can still hear you sometimes.
I was
a lot of
6
times.
I was 6 seats away from him with an aisle in between,
And
and
headphones
every
on?
time I took headphones off, he was yapping.
With my new friends.
There's
new
been
friends.
times
Yeah.
I have heard him through headphones.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. So, and then it cuts, and then Ryan's got headphones on in the podcast room, even though we don't need him anymore. But anyhow, so we flew there. I made 2 friends that you guys are jealous of. You sent them merch, by the way?
Yep.
Sick.
And
okay.
didn't you meet someone from the Red Wings?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
the coach.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Ran into the former head coach of the Red Wings, Mike Babcock. I recognized him standing by himself.
He had
Yeah.
all the same flights we had.
Yes, he
We
did.
saw him every step of the way.
And so I walked by. We kind of made eye contact, and I said, "Just hello, Mr. Babcock," and that was it. And then I realized he was on our flight to Atlanta, and so we board the plane. He's chilling in first class, and that was the last time I saw him. And
That
then-
you'd think you'd see him.
Exactly. So like we get off the flight, we have our break, then we get on the plane to Africa a little bit later once they started boarding. So we just like right to our seats, and that was it. And then 16 hours later, we're in baggage claim, and we look to our right, and he pops up in Johannesburg, South Africa, and he starts chatting up with us and kind of gives us a nice little preview of what we're about to experience.
Yeah, he does a lot of hunting and stuff in Africa. And he was like going through everything with us. And he's like, you got to do this. And apparently he's gotten a Cape Buffalo with archery equipment,
Yep.
Oh,
which
that's
is
cool.
crazy because Cape Buffalo will kill you.
And he had the coolest quote where he said, South Africa is the NHL of hunting. And it was just the perfect, like, positive notion of how great this trip was about to be.
Cool send off. Yeah.
And what a coach thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
right.
But he ended up talking to us for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Like
cool.
we spent some time. I've got his email now.
Nice.
Yeah, he made a joke.
No.
Hey, no, I'm not giving it out because he made a point to be like, I can't give you my phone number because as soon as it gets out, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I wouldn't do that to you. But he gave us his email, said he wants to come on the podcast. So
Oh,
we'll do
cool.
that with him, yeah.
He apparently lives close. So.
I forgot about that until right now. So we go through baggage claim, and this guy Francois picks us up. Francois, and we're like, got all of our stuff. He's taking us to his van. He's got this van where the seats face forward and like backwards, like at each other.
Yeah.
And that was our first taste of seeing people drive on the opposite side of the road and sit on the opposite side as well.
It was very off-putting to be both sitting backwards in a car, and then watching what you think should be oncoming traffic going the wrong way.
Yeah. It was funny too. Every time a car was coming the opposite direction, Indy was doing this, and he like remembered that it's like not that's how it is there. So then we go to he takes us. We stop at a place called Steers. I really wanted McDonald's, but they were all closed. We went to a place called Steers, which they love. Like that's, I would say they're Culver's, because the people that hate McDonald's love Culver's, and that was like him. He's like, oh, McDonald's, you gotta have Steers.
See, I was gonna say Burger King. It
No,
seemed
they
very
had Burger King.
to me.
They had Burger King.
Yeah, we didn't go to one.
Yeah, but they had it, and there's not a lot of people fighting to defend BK Lounge. There isn't. Yeah, that's not a thing. But there's people that will die on the Culver's Hill.
Sure.
So yeah. So that said, it's kind of like Culver's, where they. I'm just kidding.
Like I said.
And we went there though, and that was our first taste of like seeing the menu items. So the exchange rate there is 18-1, and the 18-1 difference. That was the first. I was like, well, because the hamburger's $400, you know, their money, or whatever the meal was that, you know, whatever it worked out to be. But it turned out when I did the math on it, if you went to like McDonald's and got the equivalent of like a quarter pounder with fries and a drink and a shake, you'd be looking at like $4 American.
Yeah, it was like 80, 90 rand.
Yeah.
Which is, and we're like 80 or 90. Oh my God. And then we all get food and then we pay, and it's like for 5 people, that was $35.
Yeah. And we got a ton of food.
That's
like,
crazy.
because we were like trying everything. Everybody got drinks and stuff. So
Pineapple on their burgers.
Imagine making like just a crap, like working here, making a crap, like doing well with your like investments and your retirement, and everything. And then you retire at 55, 60, and you're like, I'm going to go ball out in South Africa. Like, that's where I'm going to go. Like, and then you're the richest person ever there.
You would not believe how much property. You could buy a full preserve with probably like 3,000 acres and tons of buildings and houses on it and tons of game on it, high fenced and everything for like $1 million.
That's crazy.
US. It's insane.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Savage Arms. Better comes standard. Nosler Ammunition. World's finest bullets, ammunition, and brass. Boss Shot Shells. Superior made and American made. Carlson's Choke Tube's the only choke tube we've ever purchased. Onyx Hunt. Know where you stand.
For every purpose, for every path, for every soul, for every season, there's a ram.
At Savage, we know waterfowlers are a special breed. If you hunt, you know. Nothing gets in their way. Gear that outperforms harsh demands is the difference between a tired dog or an empty lanyard. Discover your rat cage. Only from Savage.
Seeing South Africa was obviously cool, but that was our first taste of it, but it was in the middle of the night. So we get there, and we get to safari, Steel Game Safaris with Tommy, who wasn't awake right then. We were going to go in and wake him up, but everybody helped us unpack our stuff, which was really nice because we have so much gear, and like loading up a car and unloading a car is the absolute worst for us as far as like travel goes, because everybody's got a suitcase, then everybody's got another suitcase for equipment, then everybody's got their carry-on of equipment for filming. And so we've got all this stuff, and to have people, and the guns, and those gun cases are so heavy because we had 4 guns with us, and it's like having people there to help us was really, really, really nice. So we pack up all the stuff, get it loaded in the house, and then the next day we go to bed. By the time we got to bed, it was 5 a.m. African time, which was what time our time? That would have been 11 p.m. American time. But we barely slept on the flight, so we hadn't slept in like 40 hours and got there, and we're all like dead. But I like, for some reason, got like a little burst of energy and started unpacking my suitcase and organizing all my stuff. I took a shower.
You're in Africa.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah. And then finally went to bed. We woke up the next day at like noon, and then started to try and get familiarized with the schedule, being 6 hours ahead to what we're used to in Detroit. So we got familiarized with that. And the first day, we decided to go to the SCI Blue Bags, which is basically, it's promoted by the Blue Bell. The Blue Bell bag is brought to you by the Bell family, and basically what they do is they give SCI these beautiful, tough bags that can be like checked as luggage, and they come with like some soccer balls in them, and they come with some hats in them, and
like
they come
duffels.
and they come with like sanitizer and like some gifts for the people that you're going to give them to. And the idea is they donate that. You take that bag and then you fill it with stuff for schools or churches or whoever you're going to be donating it to. So when we got there, we're like, oh, let's go fill that up. So we went to like a bookstore, and at the bookstore, we bought children's Bibles. We bought all kinds of papers, pencils, pens, coloring books, puzzles, all the school supplies, scissors, staplers, highlighters, like anything you could think of. And we knew that we were going to be dealing with kids that were going to be between 10 and 12 years old, is what we were told at the time. So we were buying stuff for school supplies and things like that. And it seems mean to get them school supplies, but that's actually what they want, because it's actually what they need, like in the classrooms and stuff. They don't have it. So they like, to them, it's a big deal to get a notebook that's yours that you can write in and that sort of thing. So we bought so much stuff. The 2 women that were working in there were so nice. They were so grateful because they knew what we were doing. So they were like hugging us and talking to us and just super kind. Then we went to another store, which we bought soccer balls there, and like some of them were used, some of them weren't, but that's like what was available. So we bought like 10 soccer balls, and then we went to, and that guy gave us 50% off because he knew what we were doing. Then we went to the grocery store and we bought candy, we bought toothbrushes, we bought soap, we bought so much stuff, that sleeves of cookies and fruit, or not fruit, I don't know why I said fruit flavored candy. Just all kinds of stuff that would mean a lot to the kids. The candy, obviously, but also hygiene's important with the toothbrushes and the toothpaste and things like, it's just stuff they don't have. So we did all of that, and we filled that cart to like the brim. And it was funny because while we were
$5.
while we were in there filming, I think all in for everything at all the stops combined, I think I spent like $350.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. So, American, obviously.
Yeah.
So then, when we were like checking out the big cameras and stuff like that, it flagged the manager too. We had the manager come talk to us like, what are you doing? Because Andy and AJ are running around with these huge rigs and stuff.
Yeah.
And, she told her she came up to us pretty kind, but aggressive.
Yeah.
Like she
Firm.
didn't say yeah, very firm. She's like, you can't be doing this. You have to ask permission, blah, 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 blah. And then like she's got me and Tommy Steele talking to her now. So we sold her pretty hard.
Nice.
And she was like, okay, yeah, thank you for doing that. And Tommy goes, so we can carry on? She goes, yep. Just ask permission next time. It's like, yeah, next time we run into you, we'll ask permission. But so we did end up filming all this, but while we were like checking out, everyone knew what we were doing, but the camera, like everyone thought it was so cool. And we always talk about this. I don't know why people do it, but people see a camera and they wave.
Yeah.
Like they wave, like you see it in the news, you see it at football games, you see it at hockey
Family's gonna
games.
see this. Hi.
Yeah, but like nobody does that. Like
Yeah.
No.
you also do it if you see like your buddy in public. Like I'll see you on the road and we wave.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't. It's like
I
we
wonder
just saw each other.
I wonder if the waving on camera thing stems from like when you're a kid. Maybe it's outdated now. Even like when we were kids, I was a kid. I was probably like the last generation. The parent holds a camcorder, say hi, like that. Sort
Yeah,
of thing,
yeah,
and you're
oh,
like,
yeah,
"Hi."
yeah.
Like, camera, say hi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
But-
maybe that. I don't know.
There was also a lot of dancing
Yes.
that took place. A lot of, especially when we were doing the checkout, and the other ladies who were in the checkouts next to the one we were using are in the background seeing us on camera going,
Did any of them start like singing?
no.
Sounds like Grease.
There was
Yeah. Summer lovin' had me a blast. Come on, Ryan.
They're all doing that.
Summer lovin'.
I don't know by heart like you
She
do.
had a nice.
Beauty school dropout.
Thank you, AJ. So anyhow, we ended up getting all that, and it was like so much laughing and fun. And Andy said it too. Is like everyone knew what we were doing. Like they all knew, they had seen it before, which is pretty cool, and they all knew what we were doing. So they were all just really happy we were there, and like genuinely kind, and like the dancing and waving, and like we were all laughing. And I hope that comes across in the show, because
Yeah.
it was like very community feeling.
Yeah.
Like I just met all these people, and they obviously knew we weren't from there, and they knew what we were doing without me saying it. Like, why else would you buy 106 toothbrushes? You know what I mean?
Right.
But just the nicest people.
When you think of South Africa, everyone thinks of this. Like, what was the dynamic between white and black people?
Gee, that is a very complicated topic. If I was to explain it, are you saying
when
are you saying from like the tourist standpoint?
You going into that store and like the cashier was black and you're white. Like, what is the interaction like?
Yeah, so the what we experienced, because I think we'll get into this on another podcast where we like dive deep into like what is going on politically and everything like that with white and black people in South Africa, because it's such a big topic right now. But when we were there, if I can speak specifically on how my experience was, it was obvious that we weren't from there. Like as soon as we went somewhere, we were like what everybody was looking at.
Yeah.
Like you don't belong.
Yeah.
And then part of that is because we went to a lot of places that most people don't go when they go to South Africa. They go to the reserve, or they go to the the site, the Kruger National Park, which we did do, but they'll like go to those things where you expect that. You expect tourists, you expect those sorts of things. We're at a grocery store in Limpopo. You know what I mean? Like we're not where tourists go.
Right.
So because of that, it's like, what are you doing here? A little bit,
Yeah.
but not in a rude way. I would say that most of the people, like the cashiers and stuff, were flirty, funny, laughing, huggy, like grateful. The women that we met, like I said, at the bookstore and stuff, they were very huggy people, which I am too, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone was very huggy, grateful, happy, respectful. The only thing, like experience-wise, and this isn't a black or white thing, this would just be like the people in South Africa thing. One of the things that I noticed is like you kind of had have your guard up, because there was a lot of people, not specifically white or black, but the people in South Africa were tending to try and get something out of you.
Oh, they're
like financially.
Always
Mhm.
hustling.
For instance, like this happened in America, but you go to the airport and the guy wants to, there's a porter at the airport, right? So you're at the airport and he sees you carrying your bags and he comes up with a cart and starts putting your bags on to help you take it to the, check-in or whatever else. So they do that and you're like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden they get done and they're like, okay, ready for my tip now.
Even though you never agreed
You
to
never
it.
agreed to
Yeah.
it. You didn't know what was happening. They just grabbed it. You didn't know if it was part of the airport service. You didn't know if it's
Right.
because you're Delta Sky Miles. You don't know, but now you have to pay this person. Maybe you didn't bring cash. And they're like, oh, I had Venmo. So like,
Yeah, they'll find any way
that's an
around it.
American experience, but that type of thing, a lot was going on.
Okay.
We saw
Like-
it a lot around the airport.
Which makes me think, because Jen and I dealt with the same thing in Mexico. I was telling you guys about that iguana. Like the guy carries around this huge iguana on the beach, comes up and like shoves it onto Jenna, and Jenna's like, "Cool, I'll hold it." And then he's like, "Take pictures, take a picture." And so we're taking pictures, and then at the end he's like, "Okay, that'll be $10." Well, you never mentioned that. And
Yeah.
we were with a tour guide, and he, like, this guy started getting upset. It's also funny because okay, the tour guide comes up and he's like, you that's not how Americans operate. Like, you need to tell them the price first and then they'll agree to it. You don't just throw something on them and then at the end ask for money. And this guy was very upset we were not paying him, and none of us had any cash, blah 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 blah, whatever. And Jenna was getting pretty upset about it. And then once we had left, we're like back on the boat going back to like our main area, and I was like, I had money the whole time. I was just not gonna give it to this guy.
Yeah, I didn't agree to this.
Well, and the other, like, we had some people that tried to rip us off a little more. One of the things too is like, so we're at the airport and we're leaving to go with Francois, and like this guy starts talking to me and stuff, and Francois is like, nope, no thank you, no thank you.
He
To
was,
the guy.
he was already getting reeled in.
Yeah,
He's nice. He'll talk to anybody. So a guy comes up, starts talking to him. He's like, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
And he's like, what they'll do is they target people at the airports. They'll offer to help you with your bags, but then one of them will be missing. It's like that's not to say anything bad about South Africa. Trust me, there's places in America. I mean, the amount of killings that go on in Chicago every day are insane. So it's like, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying that is like people there. That's one of the targets that happen.
Right.
Another weird thing too is like random stuff is sold on the streets. Jeff's got a slingshot here. Like that was sold. You can pick it up. That was sold on the streets. Like, we just bought that from people that are like walking around holding them at the supermarket, which is a bit of a surprise. Like, you wouldn't anticipate a slingshot being sold in the parking lot at a grocery store, but that was like a normal thing.
You know what you're gonna need while you're here?
Slingshots.
They had slingshots and they had feather dusters made out of ostrich feathers.
Yep, a lot of feather dusters. Feather dusters were the other big thing that they would
Is that
sell.
because there's dirt everywhere? So they gotta dust everything all the time?
I don't know.
I drive a lot of dirt roads, and that would have probably been helpful if we were driving our own car.
Dude,
I say, where are you?
Dude. Gun safety, Ryan.
Big time.
Ah! No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, the slingshot's actually not bad. But yeah, so slingshots are sold, and feather dusters were like the two top things we saw sold, like door to door. Very strange.
So random.
But anyhow, so we packed up all that stuff with the blue bell bags, and then we ended up going to the school. We're on our way there, and we're told, like I said, like 10 to 14-year-olds probably. So I'm like, okay. Mentally, I'm getting my head surrounded, like, I'm getting my head in the game for interacting with 10 to 14-year-olds and, like, what those interactions will be like, things I might say, blah, 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 blah. And I hope that this comes across in the show, too. I think it was AJ and I filming together, and I think Andy and Jeff were in the other car. But I did a piece where I was like, listen, we're about to go to a school and donate a bunch of stuff, and that's really awesome. But there are so many hunters that have come before me, and this Blue Bell program was put together not by me, by the Bell family, SCI. Like, there's so many people involved to make it possible that I get to just spend $350 and help.
Yeah.
That I always say, like, the most selfish thing you can do is be giving, because there is nothing that feels better than, like, giving to others. Like, and you have to monitor that, especially, like, if you're a Christian, like, you're supposed to really heavily monitor, like, you're not doing it for, like, the publicity or to get credit or have people. So I was really scared about that, because I was like, how the heck are we going to film this in a way that is on my heart? Like, I don't want credit for this, but I also want to show that it happens, because hunters don't get the credit they deserve. So how do you do that and film it in a way that doesn't seem like, look how holy I am helping these folks. So that was something in my head that I was working through, and AJ helped me as well. So then I did like a talk to the camera on the way there, where I was like, so many people have come before me that have put this program together. Let it be known I deserve absolutely no credit for this. I don't want any credit for this. And I even feel uncomfortable filming, but I'm doing it to show what other hunters do. And at this point, I won't say,
like that's a great way of phrasing it.
I won't say what animals we harvested, but now we're also packed down with meat. So we've got a ton of meat in the back of the truck, 50 packages or more of like big pieces of meat from the animals we harvested. We've got the bell bags filled up with all the school supplies and stuff, and we get there and they're like, uh-oh. And this is another cool thing about the hunters. We get there and they're like, we can't go to this one. There was hunters that were just here last week. And I was like, how beautiful is that there was hunters there last week? They're like, let's go to another school that hasn't been seen yet, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So then we get back in the car and go, and as we're going down the road, we get to the next school, and I like immediately upon seeing it, a smaller school when you see it.
Mhm.
So we pull in this parking lot. It's very sad to see. It's like all dirt. The parking lot's just dirt. There's a swing set that was the saddest swing set I have ever seen in my entire life. It was basically like 50-gallon drums, like stacked on each other, kind of tied together with chains. There was 4 deflated tires that had deflated so long and dealt with the heat so much that they melted to be like thin. So it like wouldn't be an enjoyable experience to sit on it, and I wouldn't trust it. It would just probably like it looked like it melted and fused. There was like a half-done garden, not garden, but it was just corn planted.
Yeah.
So like a small farm of like, 10 yards squared, with just some corn on it and stuff. Yeah, yeah. It was just corn. And then there's like this little schoolhouse, and it's not very big. So I'm like, oh, I bet we have too much stuff. There's not going to be 50 kids anymore. That was in my head.
Right.
And we sent Andy in while AJ was getting B-roll and I was getting mic'd and also trying to like figure out what we're going to do. So Andy was like producing, and I got hats off to Andy on this too, because this was Andy's first big trip going with us. Ryan was swamped here with work, so it worked out that Andy was going to go, and Ryan held down the fort here with the millions of projects we have going on right now. And Andy's there. He goes in, and he's like, I hear him in there interacting with people, but the interactions sound really young. Like I heard like really young voices going back to him, but he was like prepping them like, hey, they're going to come in, blah, 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 blah. Because we want it to be filmed well, but we also know it's like a one shot and it's over, right?
You're not
like
redoing anything.
No. And Tommy said too is like, once you give them stuff, you can't like take it back and redo it. And I wouldn't want to anyways.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to
Hey, give that back.
I didn't even want to film. But I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for them and the other people that will see this that might donate and help this way. So that's why we did it. So we walked in. I like prayed before we walk in, and immediately I see kids that. What would you say the youngest, AJ? 3?
Yeah, 3
I was
Yeah.
going to say too.
for sure.
There were some that were very clearly had only just recently started like really walking.
Yeah.
Like it was
up to maybe 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's probably a couple 5-year-olds sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
That's really little.
So and there's 50 of them, and they're in this room that is 650 square feet. One room, right?
Just
Maybe
packed in.
maybe 2.5 times the size of this room.
Yeah,
Like very small.
very small. So we walk in, I see all these little faces, and I'm a weakling for this stuff. So I'm like, don't you
They're
cry.
adorable.
No desks. They're all just sitting on the floor, and they're up against the wall. And then like you could tell they probably fight for the spots against the wall because you can lean back. And then like the other kids are in Indian style, and they're
in the
making like a
middle.
big U around the room. You're probably seeing footage of it right now. But so like we walk in, and I'm like, these kids are so small. My first thought is like half the stuff in here, like I don't even know that they should have yet. Like you wouldn't be giving a blow pop to a 3-year-old if you were at home, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Like, but at the same time, it's like they might not get another blow pop, so it's like you give them blow pop. So we walk in, we're like pumping up the soccer balls, and like the first beginning, I'll be honest, is a little awkward. Like they're confused, they can't understand me.
Yeah.
They speak a language called Afrikaans, and some of them know some English. And we learned later that they are learning English, though. We scream learning. So I'll explain that in a second. But we're like given the notebooks and pens and stuff, and I could sense it. Like, I don't know. I felt like I could feel the kids being like, you're giving all the stuff here to the teachers. Why do I even have to be here for this? Like kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're giving notebooks to the teachers, pens to the teachers, coloring books, the Bibles, all those things to the teachers. And they're grateful and stuff, and they're like conveying something to the kids, and they're like, okay. But they see stacks of candy and soccer balls, and
Yeah.
they're like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, the fun stuff.
Yeah, so we end up going through and passing out all the candy and all the stuff. So like it's really funny to see like a 3 or 4-year-old with like a huge sleeve of cookies this long, toothbrush, toothpaste, a bunch of like different candies and stuff, and they're like all holding it like this, and like God forbid you're the kid that's trying to hold one of the 10 soccer balls too.
Yeah.
Because there's 10 soccer balls and 50 kids, but they can all play together with that.
Yeah.
So we like overloaded them, and what I would say one of the biggest takeaways I took from it that I thought was so beautiful is, and this got me, is so like we're interacting with these kids, and they're pretty touchy. Like they're touchy kids, where they'll like come up and touch your face, or they'll just come up and hug you.
Yeah.
And then once they hug you, they don't let go. They kind of like we'll just be like this now. You know, like
Okay.
they'll have an arm around you or whatever, but they're little. And so it's like you're interacting with all these kids, and like when I would get down on my knees, they would like surround me and like be right in your face in a
It's like puppies.
In a
Yeah.
very innocent way.
yeah, not in a weird way or anything like that. But that room that we're in, that's the other sad thing, is like probably 100 degrees in there at least. I mean, it's in the winter. So the summer, I don't even know how you could be in that room. And
They don't
there's
have
like so
electricity,
many
they
people in there, 50 kids, 3 teachers, all of us, no electricity, no running water, no nothing. Ironically, like the floors weren't bad. They had like
Yeah.
nice tile floors, which I thought was strange. Like nothing else is good,
Huh.
but they had tile floors. Darn it. Yeah. Well, that was kind of the thing too. Is like seeing like the teachers were super grateful. I did find it strange, not picking on them at all, but it's just like every adult we saw, even in those conditions, had a new iPhone, which I thought was strange. Like I'm not
Surprised by
I'm
it?
not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying like I was surprised to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't. They're all taking pictures when we're giving kids
Yeah.
their first look at candy. And like, trust me when I say it was their first time having candy, because we're watching kids like look at the wrapper and start eating it because they don't know better.
There was a 2-year-old with what we gave them long. They were called strawberry fizzers,
Fizzers.
and it looks like a Laffy Taffy or like one of those long flavored Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
And she just looks at it and just goes.
and,
And I
she's
go,
like-
oh, they haven't had this kind of candy before.
and I can't speak to them because I don't speak Afrikaans.
The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, your adventure starts here. Savage Arms, Nosler Ammunition, Bosch Shot Shells, Wilderness Athlete, fuel for the rugged, Tracker Boats, fish the finest, Eagle Fishing, designed for the savvy angler, Rufus Teague Barbecues, Snacks, and Spices, Rectech Grills, it's more than a grill, it's a way of life, Sea-Doo, make your own waves, LEM Products, motivating people to hunt, process, and prepare their own food, Quiet Cat, the leader in electronic bikes for hunting, fishing, camping, and exploring. Consistency. That's what you aim for with every practice shot. So when you're out in the field, you get that same consistency every shot. With Carlson's choke tubes, consistency is what you'll get. Our choke tubes are long-lasting, high quality, and made right here in the USA. Carlson's choke tubes, pattern tested, hunter approved. Find out more at choketube.com.
Are you anxious to get going? Knowing that the clock is ticking and time truly is the most precious commodity in the world? Then you, my friend, are in good company.
So we're handing out the candy, all the kids are eating it, but this is what I found beautiful, and this is what got me, is they would like go in Jeff's line and get some stuff. They would come to my line, and their little faces were so bright and beautiful, and they were so excited that they were like getting stuff, but they wanted to give me something that they got from him. They're like, okay, I got 4 things from him. I'm going to give him one too, because they were excited to share that with me. The other thing that I noticed is not one of those kids was pushy. And when I witnessed a little girl drop something and a little boy picked it up and put it back in her hands.
So they're not selfish.
Not even a little. Like to the point where you're like, no, this is like you get to have something for yourself.
Right.
Like it was like that. And I heard Jeff, while I was doing it too, I heard Jeff be like, no, that's for you. It's for you.
Mhm.
So he was experiencing some of the same
They're trying
things.
to give you
Yeah.
stuff.
The
Wow.
other thing that I thought was funny is as I was going around and giving kids stuff, because we started with the bigger things before we did the line for the candy. So I'm handing out cookies, and I would give it to one kid, and you'd see the other kids around them or like further down the U, and they'd be just like, they would kind of look a little sad, like they just assumed they wouldn't get one. And
I
then
saw
I'd
that
get
too.
to them and then give them one, and they'd like,
Yeah.
for me, and it was like, yeah, I'm trying to give one to everyone.
You know what's funny about that though is I didn't process it that way at the time. I was surprised that every kid was shocked that they were getting something that they witnessed everybody else get. I'm like, what are you shocked for? You no, me too.
The other funny interaction that I had was with several of the kids, and this also goes to how young they are, is, you know, like you said, they've got a sleeve of cookies, they've got 8 different candies in their hands, they've got a soccer ball, they're trying to, and then they're waiting in line to get another thing from you. So they don't know what on earth they're going to do with this stuff.
But they got to be there.
And
you
you
have to like put it in their mouth, and they're like walking away with it.
You can
in their mouth.
You can see them processing it as they're getting closer to you. They're like, and I go and I look, and there's quite a few of the kids are, you know, they're wearing shorts or pants. Some of them had like overalls, and it was like, here, I'll put this in your pocket if that's okay. And they'd like,
Oh yeah,
and I
great idea, bro.
I taught them they had pockets. Like
Yeah.
they were experiencing
That's
pockets for the
hilarious.
first time. So then they start putting stuff in their pockets, and they're like,
yeah, hey, like now I'm good.
like, now
I'm
now
good.
I'm ready.
And then start putting in the cheeks.
That's funny.
A couple of the other interactions, I had this one little girl that was so excited to show me her dress, and it was like, dude, it got me because it's like this dirty little pink dress, dirty as in like had dirt all over it,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of ripped in the one spot, and she like holds it out, and she was so like posed to show me like, look at my dress, and it was like, I'm like, you look beautiful, and it like, I was like, I'll buy you every dress that you want. Like I felt like it just broke.
Whatever you want, you can have.
Like it's like seeing like, I don't know, man. It's like, it's so universal.
Yeah.
Like my nieces, like that's how they would be when they got a dress when they were little. Like look at
Yeah.
that, like they couldn't wait to show you. But to her, that dress was the world, even if it was ripped and dirty. And it's like, I don't know why, but that
Was
really
it the
got me
girl
too.
with the unicorn.
There's pictures of her and I together, and she's showing me in the pictures.
Yeah.
And
Very cute.
she's adorable. They're all beautiful, but it's like, it was tough, man. And then we took them outside, and we were like explaining to them, and this is where, let me say this. Tommy Steele from Steel Game Safaris and Dolph and the entire crew, Simeon was there. Most amazing people on the planet Earth. If you are ever thinking about going to Africa, especially to do something like this, Steel Game Safaris is the only people that we'll ever go with, period.
Mm-hmm.
So if 30 years from now, that's who we'll be going with. They're like family to us, and you can feel safe that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt safe unsafe the entire trip.
Mm-hmm.
And they're incredible people to spend time with, and they're also fun to spend time with. But so they're there. They help set all this stuff up. Actually, they did set it up. Again, I just got to show up and pay for stuff and be happy. But when we're there, Pat, who is one of the trackers, which is like one of the professional professional hunter is different. Trackers are, it's like a different role inside the company. But Pat, who is like Tommy's tracker, he does like a lot of the skinning of the animals, helping track the animals, helping with the hunts, all those different types of things. Really, really nice guy. And I had been talking to him a little bit during the trip, but I would say that Pat's a little bit quieter, maybe even more shy. Like that's just like his nature. And he grew up there. He does speak some English, and obviously is very fluent in Afrikaans. So he like stepped up really big when we were at the school. He like got very hands-on with me, helping with like organizing the kids, taking them out. And I was so grateful to him that I was like, hey man, can you like convey some messages for me to them? Because I went up and gave like the Bibles to the teachers, and like like I just got a feeling that they saw it and were like, no, like I just got that feeling. And Tommy had said that some of the people there that live there have like some pretty wild religions, like that I'm not aware of. I'm not picking on them. I'm not saying nothing. It's just like stuff that we had never heard of. So whether the Bible thing would be a good or a bad thing for them, I don't know. But I got that vibe. So I said to Pat, I said, can you help me with this and help me with that? And the two messages I want all the kids here to know is that they can be anything that they want to be, and that Jesus loves them, and that the Bibles would tell them that. So he like I know he said the Jesus thing first because I caught Jesus in there. Like I only understood a couple words, and some of the Afrikaans words are similar. Like the F word is exactly the same, but like he didn't say that. But some of the words are similar enough that you're like picking up what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so he did that, and then he went into the next part, and the teacher kind of chimed in, and I wasn't sure if she was overriding him or not, but then she was like clearly listing things, and then she got to engineer, lawyer, and she like said, so I'm like, oh, she's listing careers that they can be, and I wanted the kids to know, like, this doesn't have to be your life. You can do anything that you want, and not to put them down, but to lift them up.
Right.
And so it was like a really cool bonding moment for Pat and I too, because we had been hunting a couple days together and had spent time together. But like he came out of his shell there, which was really, really cool to see. So then we took all the kids outside and we like showed them like these massive amounts of meat that we had for all of them that they were going to get home and take it to their families. And then talking to Tommy and stuff, he's like, they might get meat once a month. So that's such a big thing that like typically the kids will just eat grits. So we're giving them candy and sweets and fun stuff, cookies and toothbrushes and stuff like that. And they normally just eat grits. And now we've given them meat too for their families, which really felt great to be able to do, which is like that dangerous thing where I don't want it to feel great for me because like realistically, how much did we really change their lives? We gave them an experience. We gave them a couple great days, but they still dealing with the problems that they have. And Tommy talked to us after and talked about how small the school was and stuff. And I said, I'd like to figure out a way to get air conditioning for them. And Tommy was like, I love your heart. He's like, we'd have to get electricity, which means we'd have to put solar panels up. And if the people around town see them with solar panels on that school, they will come and take them and sell them the next day.
Ugh.
He's like, you have to be, you want to give them stuff, I get that. But you have to give them stuff that people can't just come take from them.
Right.
Which is like a horrific thing to me to hear. And that little garden that we talked about, that's one of the things they teach the kids is like how to plant corn and stuff, which I thought was actually cool.
Right.
It's like home ec, you know? They're like 4. They're pretty smart too. That was the other thing is like, there was 2-year-olds, like we were saying, like that probably just learned to walk. But if you handed them something, they took it. Like, I know a 2-year-old here would take it, but it might take some coaxing. They might look at you weird, or they might not. No, like these kids were like aware that if something's in front of you to take it.
Oh, interesting.
Like you saw, there was no hesitation. I guess would be the way to say it.
Versus our kids here would be like, I don't know. About
and there was a kid that couldn't sit up yet, and I handed him something, he took it right away.
Wow.
Like so, it's like, okay, like that's like it was different behavior. Like I was aware of different behavior.
Yeah.
So anyhow, in talking to Tommy, he's like, something that we could do for them if you want to do it. Tommy was already planning on building the kids another schoolhouse. So it would double their space, give them a whole nother room, allow it to be 25 instead of 50 kids in those. He's like, so if you'd like to go in on that with me, we'll do it. And I was like, the amount of money that we're spending by comparison to what we would spend here to build a building is like such a fraction.
Yeah.
That it would have been unchristian. It would have been unchristian to say no. I mean, it's so affordable, splitting it between me, him, and one of his buddies that it's like so stupid cheap that you're like, okay, good. And he's like, and nobody can walk off with a building. So it's like,
can we do too?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we're going to be doing that project as well. It sounds like by the time we go next year, it might even be done. And Tommy was talking about, he's like, we'll put a sign that says like Greenway Outdoors and Steel Game Safaris on it. I'm like, I'd like to put something on there again, like you can be anything you want to be. Like I want that to I just want the kids to keep hearing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like dream big.
Because you don't have to be stuck, like this. Like you can have anything you want in this life.
Right.
The appreciation that I had for the day was the genuine connection I had with the kids, seeing them try to give me stuff back. It made me feel good just to be around them. Like they had such a good energy about them. Like that would be a good way to describe it. Like like a beautiful energy. And it like also bonded me and Tommy and Simeon and Dolph and everybody. It bonded us all a little bit stronger because it's like we had gone through all these experiences. Now we went through this one together. So it bonded all of us together. And it like also is like a stupid big reality check for us is like the things we take for granted here. It's like, not finishing the food on your plate that you took, not, throwing stuff into the garbage, wasting things. For me, it stuck with me a lot.
Yeah.
It stuck with me a lot.
That's it would be interesting to take someone of similar, your American 10-year-old, bring them there and be like, look,
Right.
like this is how a lot of the world lives.
Yeah.
So
You have consistent access to shoes.
yeah,
That's big.
Yeah, it's like half the kids didn't have shoes.
Yeah.
You know, there was like barefoot, some sandals, some like older tennis shoes. Nothing new, obviously, but
Right.
like a lot of the kids were barefoot in there.
yeah, wow.
But that little girl showing me her dress, that was a lot for me because it just reminded me of my nieces so much, and like, but she was still so appreciative of it. I guess that's part of it too, is like how happy they were. They after did to thank us, they did like some songs and stuff, and they did like the days of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, and I'm saying it like that because they were screaming it.
Some of them were like, you like Monday, Tuesday, and then some of them, it was like they were mad that that we didn't know that they already knew that, and there's kids in the back going, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And then they did.
Imagine living next door.
Then they did numbers.
Up to like 20
Yeah, they did numbers up to 20. Then they did
months.
months. You know what's funny is I didn't catch what the months were until about July, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
It's like it just there's enough accent there that
Yeah,
you
you
know
can't
because it's their
quite
second language.
Parts of the body, and they have an order that they go in, and they're all yelling them in order, and it was like, oh, that's cool that
All
they.
right.
Well, I was actually relieved. Like, because you got the vibe that, like, there's 52 kids in here and 3 teachers, and good luck to see if they learn anything. This is basically a daycare.
Yeah.
I mean, they were learning what we would learn in preschool, which would be when we were 5.
Right.
So they're, like, a little ahead of us.
right.
Like, I was pretty impressed by that, actually.
In a different language. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Well, that's another thing with most other countries. A lot of the rest of the world knows multiple languages. We're
Mhm.
kind of the anomaly where we're like, English, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't speak to me with
Luckily,
anything
that
else.
second one they all learned is ours.
Yeah.
What was thank you? Do you remember, AJ?
donkey.
No, I know it was donkey.
Inconceivably.
Yeah, but they would do something with their hand that meant, I think it was this. Was it that? I don't know.
It was like a something like that.
I feel like Tommy warned us because he thought we might think it was rude. Because they're like giving you, you're like going to give them something, and they're like, right here, pal.
Yeah, it is like, set it in.
Yeah, plop her down there.
It was really funny though, because thank you is donkey.
Yeah.
But this is pretty. Why don't you go ahead, Jeff?
So Kyle starts off. We don't know yet, and every once in a while, hear them say
Don't speak Afrikaans.
they're speaking Afrikaans, and then they would throw in a donkey at the end, or bye bye donkey,
Which
Or
means
like-
bye bye, thank you.
goodbye, thank you. So he hears donkey, donkey. So he starts, doing the Shrek thing, donkey.
It reminded me how Shrek says it.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I'm trying to explain to him why. Once we learned that means thank you, that it's like it's not that you're saying it's people say thank you a certain way.
It's not that
You
you're
know,
saying it wrong.
Hey, thank you, not hey, thank you. It was just with so much force,
so it's like you're at a restaurant and you're like, donkey.
and it's like I realize you're quoting a movie, but it could come across as though you're mocking it. And I would recommend that you don't.
I didn't mean it that way. I just meant the movie quote. But
But
but he's like, you're walking up to people and going, thank you.
There were a lot of shirts that we saw at the different places you go, because like many thanks or thank you very much is buy a donkey,
Bye, donkey.
buy a donkey.
Buy a donkey.
So they would have a shirt like a donkey, and it says buy a donkey, which means thank you very much. It was
All right.
yeah, it was we learned a good number of words while we were there.
That's what I learned.
Buy a donkey. We
Side.
learned side, which is it sounds like a vulgar English word.
The C word.
This side and the other side, I think, is what it works out to. But is daikant and hirikant, which is this side and that side. And I'm like, all I hear, and I don't remember what the situation was, but they had said while they were talking several times, the other side, and all I'm hearing is Here he can't.
I'm like, I am not.
What'd you call me?
And then they told me. So then I obviously ran with it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we were talking to Tommy's wife, and we were like explaining that like I learned that word, and she like realized like, oh, she goes, shame. That's an ugly word. Shame.
Which the Afrikaans word for shame is sistach.
Sista?
Sistach.
Oh, they got to put the
Yeah,
in
they
there.
You gotta roll it.
It's a Dutch derivative. So there's a lot of and like one of the other things that we laughed about was their what do you call that, like or like reactionary an exclamation. Like for us it'd be like or whoa. Theirs is ait.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Or
Ait.
It's like you're putting a lot of work into these sounds you're making.
So for those of us who know us not on our public profiles, but instead know us personally, know that we like to go for shock value with our jokes. That's our humor. So because of that, there was a lot of every time we would say stuff.
And I felt very accomplished was while we were talking to Tommy, we did bring up something rather shocking, and we got a ait.
Which was the new record.
New high for us.
We were very proud of that. But the episode that we're filming is one of 4. So there's actually 4 episodes, 4 parts for our African series. So we'll continue to talk about some of those fun parts of the trip over the course of the next probably 5 to 6 podcasts because there's so much to cover. And we covered 1/3 of what I wanted to today. So I think that's probably how it'll go. There's just so much that happened at each time, and it was just so memorable. But again, I can't recommend Steel Game Safaris enough. Really great Christian people that we just enjoyed our time with. We never quit laughing. We never quit eating. It was just the best. We all gained a little bit of weight.
It's funny that the 3 of you all went to Africa, and I'm the one wearing the African clothes right now.
Oh, yeah.
We were supposed to do this podcast 2 days ago, and then we were going to do it again yesterday. So I wore my 2 Africa outfits that I bought, and I mean full hat, shirt, the shorty shorts, the boots, the little gaiters that go over the boots, and then we didn't do a podcast for 2 days, and I got to do laundry.
AJ dressed like that yesterday as well, and Jen and I were out in public, and Jen sees AJ and goes, "Why is he dressed like that?"
I went into stores dressed like that. Like I walk into a gas station, I'm getting something, and as I walk up to the front, the lady's like, and I'm like, "What?" Oh,
You get looks.
I'm dressed like Steve Irwin.
Here's the thing, though. Like, everybody dressed that way there that we were with, and we were there 20-something days, and that's what people wore. So, like, now you kind of carry the experience with you where you're like, kind of like Hawaii, whereas, like, we're really close with a lot of people there. It's like our second home now, blah, 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 blah. And after freaking living in Africa for 20 days, it's like, I don't know, it's like, you take a little bit of it back with you, and you're like almost wearing it, thinking about them, if you will. And then when people hear, are like, "What on earth?"
I'm not weird. You're weird.
I'm not. Well, luckily, if we can continue to cover Africa stories, you can wear it on one of the next podcasts.
Yeah.
But we hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Greenway Outdoors podcast. Don't forget, we have a vlog series comes out on Thursdays. We have a brand new series called The Wilderness Chronicles, which we're very proud of. That is also on our YouTube channel, and that comes out on Saturdays. And then our podcast comes out on Mondays. So you're getting us all week long. Watch our YouTube channel for those updates and our social medias. And obviously, the 4-episode series that we're talking about for Africa will be History Channel episodes. That new season is coming September 13th to History Channel is when that starts and kicks off. So there'll be a bunch of new episodes there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay green. Oh, I'm still trying to take headphones off, but there's no reason to because we don't have headphones anymore. And then on top of that, don't forget our premiere party is going to be September 6th at Bass Pro Shop in Auburn Hills. If Jeffrey does his job, those tickets should be for sale when you're seeing this. Thanks so much. Love you. Bye. Bye-bye, donkey. Donkey!